In this video, I'm looking at adding a uniqueness constraint so that I don't get duplications of records in my database. So it's a simple little database with two tables and a one-to-many relationship. The data is Beatles songs. I'm going to assume, then I'll point out one little mistake here, but I'm going to assume that a song is on one album. So I've not put in any of the greatest hits albums, and but that an album has many songs. So if I can make those two statements, then this is a one-to-many relationship. But I wanted to, and I'm going to read the data in, I have here in this static folder, I have data for the albums, sort of comma separated variables, and data for the songs. And so I wanted to uh, but that I can accidentally sort of run this program twice and have the data, and I didn't want to get the albums twice, three times, four times, depending on how many times I run. So I wanted to put in a uniqueness constraint and then also test that I'm not duplicating. Okay, so back here. Okay, so the usual declarations, but here are two things I've added. Unique constraint. If I'm going to constrain on one field, so I'm going to constrain, I'm going to have two classes, one for the albums, one for the songs. And one of them I'm just going to constrain a in the album, I'm just going to constrain the album title and it must be unique. But in the song, I'm going to say that the song album ID combo must be unique, not either individually, but the combination. And that's where I need to bring in this unique constraint. And then when I'm testing to see if such a thing already exists in the database, I want to sort of and two things and I'm filtering on. Think in SQL of a where clause. I'm filtering, I'm asking for two conditions to be met that are anded. And so that's where this and is going to come in. Okay, so it's my usual imports, but those are the two sort of new ones. I want to get myself in the right location for my data file and also the database I'm going to make. And I'm going to create a database. And often, one way I get away around this problem of sort of running the program twice and getting extra records is to work in a in-memory database. But I wanted to solve the problem for an actual, real sort of, saving it database. So here is the album class. It's going to have a table, correspond to a table under small letters album. It's going to have an ID. I have in my data files, I have already made up some primary keys that are strings, so I'm not auto incrementing here. So my ID was a string and it was the primary key. It's not an integer. I am not auto incrementing. Here's the album title. Here I've added that it must be unique. I don't want any albums in there twice. I have in that data, I don't have the files, but I have it in the data image files for the album covers. And it has a relationship to song. So an album will have a number of songs on it. Okay. And here's my song. It's going to correspond to a table song. It has an ID. The songs, I didn't have any IDs, so I'm going to let the system generate one for me, integer primary key. I'm going to have a song title. I'm going to tell me what album it's on. And I'm not making the song title unique because of Yellow Submarine. Control F, yellow. I have Yellow Submarine on Revolver. And I have Yellow Submarine on an album from the cartoon Yellow Submarine. And this one's different, Yellow Submarine and Pepperland. But those two previous ones, I had two songs that have the same title but are on different albums, which I thought I was avoiding, but apparently I was not. So that's why I made the combination unique, song title and album ID unique. Okay. So that was here, and that was declared above. Okay. And set up sessions. I have this twice. I didn't need that twice because I use it to set up the database, but I also use it to set up to read the files, but I didn't need to do it twice. I'm reading the albums file. I'm uh, splitting, reading a row, splitting it on a comma. And here is the code. I tried to do this in a sort of a try except without specifying the error, but just saying if the session add produced an error, then sort of skip it. But that didn't work. So I had to go more explicit. I'm doing a query of the album. I'm seeing if the current album title is in my database. So I'm doing a query and trying to find if an album with that album title is in my database. If it is, I'm going to say that's possible. It's possibly already in there. Otherwise, I'm going to make it, instantiate an album and add it. And then I'm going to commit all my albums. And now I'm reading the songs and again, splitting. And again, now I'm going to ask if the song exists. And then now the uniqueness was not just the title, but the title and the album ID because of Yellow Submarine. So I am querying song, filtering on, here's my and, I'm anding the two conditions, that the song title is the X0, what I just got from splitting, and the song album ID is X1. So I'm anding those two conditions, I'm filtering on that, and I'm querying my database. And if it exists, I'll say it's probably already in the database. Otherwise, I'm instantiating a song and adding it. And then I have some query over albums, and then I use the relationship that an album has to songs and query over this, and then loop over the songs. All right. So I'm going to run this once and then run it again and show that there's no problem that I have avoided the duplications. So I'm hiding my own little arrow here. So I run the Python. I have now created the database. I'm looking at the database. I have in my extensions a SQLite 3 editor extension. And so when I click on a database, that's what it assumes I want to look at it in. And I have my albums. There were 13 albums in my data file. There were in songs. There were a lot of songs. 193 songs. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to the Python. I'm going to run it again. I am testing to see if something's in the database before I try to add it. I am not adding it, but I'm getting like a little error message in my console if I already have it. And so you saw problem song already in database or something like that. Okay. So, but the program ran successfully, did not die on errors. And my database still has 193 songs. The songs were not duplicated. And the album, there were 9 albums, and they are not duplicated. I think there are more albums, but yes, there are 13 albums, but they're not duplicated is the point. So that's what I wanted to show you in this one, adding to the database, the uniqueness constraint. So for the song, that was simply, no, sorry, let me do the album first. For the album, that was simply in one of the fields saying it on its own had to be unique. In the song, I'm making a combination of two fields must be unique. So I had to add this unique constraint. And then I am doing this when I'm reading my data files. I am doing this little query to see if that record already exists and skipping it if it does. And again, I tried to do it simpler and just do a try, sort of I always want to call it a try catch. That's not quite Python language. I think try except. But I was getting errors. It wasn't skipping over my errors in that case. That's it for this one. Thanks for your attention.